What happens when a man finally shuts off his emotion when the begging ends? When the calls stop and the warmth he once gave turns into silence, cold or thinness? What happens when the man who once cared too much decides he doesn't care at all? Nope, it's not the end. It's the beginning of power. Because the day you go cold is the day she realizes who you are, not who you are now. Who you were when you picked up every call. Who you were when you looked past every red flag. Who you were when you gave her loyalty in return for confusion. You see, you don't lose value when she leaves you. Lose illusion. Illusion that she'd always coo you. Illusion that love alone is enough. Illusion that your consistency would one day be seen as something rare, but she didn't want rare. She wanted chaos. And when you stopped being the storm, she got bored. That's the ugly truth most men don't want to face until they do, until the fire dies. The hardest is over and the emotion turns off like a switch. That's when she looks back and it hits her. You weren't just another guy. You were Theon. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about mastering it. Choosing when to feel and when to fall back. Detachment isn't cruelty. It's clarity. And once you see clearly, you don't chase. You don't beg. You don't explain. You disappear. Not in bitterness, but in silence. The kind that screams, "You had me and you lost me." If you're tired of bleeding for someone who wouldn't even hand you a bandage, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. She lost the best version of me.
Ready for the one.
The break was your awakening transformation. Let's begin. Number 1, the break was your awakening. The day she left, it shattered you. Everything you built in your head, the future, the loyalty, the silent belief that she'd stay, it all collapsed. And in that moment, you thought you were done. You felt like a failure, like you weren't enough. Nope, that wasn't your ending. That was your awakening. Pain didn't show up to break you. It came to burn down the version of you that thought begging for love was strength. That thought proving your worth was the way to keep someone around. That thought consistency would make her see your value. Heartbreak is the Stoic's battlefield, and most men stay wounded because they keep fighting for something that already let them go. But a man who embraces the pain, who stares it down without flinching, that man evolves. The break didn't ruin you. It revealed you all that energy you poured into her. It's time to reclaim it. Time to reinvest it into your discipline, your health, your vision. Because now you're not just trying to be better for her. You're trying to become undeniable for yourself. That's power. Understand this. She wasn't your loss. She was your lesson. A mirror that showed you how far from yourself you had drifted. You tolerated disrespect in the name of love. You ignored your instincts because you didn't want to lose her. And now that she's gone, you realize you were losing yourself the whole time. That version of you who stayed despite the signs. Let him die. Because what's being born in his place is the version who never needs to ask, twice never tolerates emotional games, and never gives his peace away. This is where your story flips, where you stop seeking comfort and start seeking control, not over her, but over your mind, your emotions, your direction. This is where your indifference becomes her regret. And the best part, you won't even care by the time she sees it. Number 2. Silence is your sword, silence is your sword. You keep thinking? Maybe if you say the right thing, she'll come back. Maybe if you explain how much she meant, how much you hurt, how loyal you were. Maybe then she'll wake up. Nope, she already knows. She knows. You cared, she knows you gave everything, she knows you would have fought for her until your last breath. And that's exactly why she left. Because she didn't fear losing you. You made it too easy. You made your presence a guarantee in the harsh truth. People don't value what they don't fear losing. That's where silence becomes your weapon. Not ghosting, not petty, not emotional warfare. Just complete and total withdrawal of your energy. That's their all-power move. Not slamming the door. Just quietly closing, locking it, and walking away. No need to announce your detachment. No need to post cryptic quotes or show off. You're moving on. Let the silence do the talking when she doesn't hear from you, doesn't see you. Watching her stories doesn't get the texts anymore. That silence becomes deafening, and in that void she finally starts to feel what she never did when you were around your absence. Stoicism teaches us restraint, to hold the line, to not react out of impulse. You want to scream. You want to call her out. You want to make her feel your pain. Don't that gives her control instead? Do then things she never expected, disappear without drama. Because nothing haunts someone more than the person they thought they'd always have. Simply vanishing. Don't chase. Don't explain. Don't justify. Let her sit with the silence she created. Let her realize that your silence wasn't passive. It was powerful. It wasn't weakness, it was war. And when you go quiet, long enough, you stop being someone she left. You become the one that got away. Number 3. You were never weak. You were just in love. were never weak, you were just in love. Let's kill Philly right now. You weren't weak. You weren't stupid. You weren't some spineless man chasing a woman who didn't care. You were in love, and love makes you do things that logic can't explain. You forgave things you swore you'd never tolerate. You made excuses for her tolerance, for her disrespect, for her indecision, because in your heart, you believed it was real. That's not weakness. That's commitment. But what you need to understand now is this. Just because you were loyal doesn't mean she deserved it. Dark psychology breaks it down. People don't always respond to kindness with gratitude. Sometimes they see it as permission. Permission to push boundaries. Permission to manipulate, and the more you gave, the more she took until you were drained and still apologizing for being too much. You weren't too much. You were just too available to someone who never earned it. And now the guilt starts to fade. You realize that everything you did, from the late-night conversations to the effort she barely acknowledged, wasn't weakness. It was love. The problem wasn't what you gave, the problem was who you gave it to. But now you stop blaming yourself for caring. You stop rewriting history to make sense of her betrayal. You stop asking what you did wrong and start focusing on what you'll never tolerate again. Stoicism means clarity. Emotional clarity, to separate what you feel from what you choose. You felt love, but now you choose distance, you choose standards. You choose not to bleed for someone who wouldn't even flinch if you did. The man she knew, Theon, who waited, chased, hoped, is gone, and what's left is a man who will never confuse love with self-sacrifice again. Her confusion is not your crisis. Number 4, her confusion is not your crisis. 1 minute she's warm, the next she's cold. She says she needs space, then wonders why you're distant. She leaves but still checks your stories. She disappears for days, then shows up with a hey like nothing happened. That's not love. That's emotional chaos and her confusion. That's not your crisis to solve. Nope. That's her storm to sit in, not yours to calm. But here's what most men do. They try to decode her mixed signals. They wait on every breadcrumb, every emoji, every delayed reply, thinking it means something it doesn't. She's not confused because you did something wrong. She's confused because she doesn't know what she wants, but she knows she had you wrapped up in her uncertainty. That's what kept her in control. And as long as you're trying to understand her instead of understanding yourself, you'll stay stuck in that emotional prison. This is where Stoicism hits different. You stop reacting. You stop chasing clarity from someone who thrives in confusion. You start accepting that not every question deserves an answer, and not every woman deserves a second chance. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you stop letting those feelings drive your behavior. You let her play her games, and you stop showing up to Los when she sends those late-night texts. You don't answer when she posts bait online. You don't bite. You stay grounded, solid, stoic. You're not her emotional sponge anymore. You're not the fixer, the pleaser, the safety net. You're the man who saw through the fog and chose peace over potential. And when that clarity becomes your standard, her confusion becomes her own. 5. Attraction dies in certainty. Punishment number 5. Attraction dies in certainty. Attraction doesn't thrive in comfort. It lives in tension, in unpredictability, in mystery. The moment she knew you'd always be there. No matter what she did, no matter how she treated you, that's the moment she stopped feeling it. She didn't lose interest because you weren't good enough. She lost interest because you became predictable. And the dark truth is this. People chase what they're unsure they can have. Certainty kills curiosity. You gave her everything. You showed up. You cared. You made your intentions clear. And while that sounds noble, it came without scarcity. You were always a yes, always available, always there to validate. Here, even when she gave you nothing, and once she felt no risk of losing you, the challenge died. The dopamine dropped. The game ended. That's not fair, but it's real. Here's where Stoicism flips the script. You stop being the pursuer. You stop giving out your energy like a clearance sale. You pull back, not out of spite, but out of self-worth. When you become focused on your purpose, on your craft, on your mission, you naturally create space. And that space is where attraction lives. Let her wonder where you've been. Let her question who's got your attention. Now let her feel the shift in power, not through mind games, but through your silence and progress. You don't owe her effort. Just because she got bored, you don't owe her comfort. Now that she's unsure if she comes back, it should be Toman she has to earn, not the one she took for granted. The less certain she's of your attention, the more she remembers what it felt like to have it. That's when the regret kicks in. That's when the curiosity turns into 6. Your glow-up is a silent funeral. Longing number 6. Your glow-up is a silent funeral. You want revenge. Here it is. Build a life so sharp, so focused, so magnetic, that her name doesn't even cross your mind anymore. The glow up isn't about showing off. It's about showing up for yourself while she's busy checking who liked her latest post. You're stacking discipline. You're not trying to be seen. You're becoming undeniable. And that transformation, that's the silent funeral. Because with every rep, every book, every dollar earned, every hour spent leveling up, the version of you she left behind gets buried. There's no need to flex, no need to stunt in social media. Just move insolence. Let your growth speak for you. When she sees the shift, your new look, your focus, your calm, indifference, she won't recognize you. Good. That's the point. The man who cried, begged, waited, he's gone, and in his place stands a man she couldn't touch. How even if she tried. This is Stoicism in motion. You don't chase closure. You don't seek validation. You build. You improve. You evolve. Your gym grind. Your money moves. Your emotional control. That's the message. Because while she's still entertaining distractions, you're outgrowing the version of yourself whoever thought she was the prize and the best part. You're not doing any of it for you're doing it, because the pain lit a fire that comfort never could. You're building a life that makes her absence feel like a footnote, and when that day comes, the day she watches you from a distance realizing she's no longer part of your world, it'll hit her. She didn't just lose you, she lost access to your 7. Love is a mirror. So reflect strength. Future number 7. Love is a mirror. So reflect strength. Love doesn't just reveal the other person, it reveals you. Every time she looked at you, she saw a reflection of herself. That's how it works. And when you were soft, forgiving, constantly bending, she saw someone she could manipulate, someone who mirrored her chaos with endless patience. But that reflection is gone now. The mirror cracked. And what you're building now is a version of yourself that forces anyone who stands in front of you to confront their own weakness. You want to shift the dynamic. Stop seeking her approval. Stop trying to remind her of the good times. Instead, remind yourself of what it cost you to keep her in your life that quiet. Disrespect the uncertainty, the emotional roller coaster masked as love. Nope. You don't mirror that anymore. You reflect. Strength, discipline, focus. A man who's not led by feelings, but by standards. The truth is, you set the tone. You define how you're treated by what you tolerate. The old you tolerated too much. The new you builds boundaries like brick walls and only the worthy get through. She doesn't get to dance in and out of your life anymore. She doesn't get to treat your attention like a faucet to be turned on when convenient. You're not a mirror for her insecurity. Now you're a mirror for her mistake. That's the Stoic edge. You remain calm, centered, untouchable. You don't explain your worth. You embody it. And when she sees it, when she realizes she can no longer use you to validate her, it hits harder than any argument, any breakup text, any "we need to talk," because strength is silent. Strength is final. Never show her the fire. She lit number 8. Never show her the fire she lit. She wanted a reaction. That's the game. Make you angry, make you jealous, make you beg. Not because she wanted to fix anything, but because your reaction proved she still had control. Your rage was reassurance. Your sadness was proof. And every time you exploded, replied, chased or crumbled, you handed her the keys to your emotional kingdom. Nope. That ends now. Because the fire she lit, she doesn't get to watch it burn. Real strength is silence. It's calm. It's walking away without the need for a final word. When she tries to provoke you, by flaunting someone new, by playing mind games, by breadcrumbing you back into her orbit, you don't bite. You don't lash out. You let her dance alone in the chaos she created. Because Stoicism isn't about pretending not to feel. It's about choosing not to react. You feel everything, but you master it. You let it sharpen you, not shatter you. She expected you to spiral. She expected emotional fireworks, but you gave her a blackout, total withdrawal in that silence. That's what eats at her. Not because she misses you at first, but because she can't figure out what you're thinking. And that's the power making her feel invisible in the space where she once felt war ripped. She'll tell herself you don't care anymore. She'll tell herself you're playing games, but deep down she knows you've leveled up and she's no longer part of the equation. You're another outlet anymore. You're not the emotional sponge. You're the ghost. She can't shake. And the more you control, the fire inside, the colder the world gets for her on the outside. 9. Forgiveness without access. Number 9. Forgiveness without access. Forgive her not because she asked, not because she deserves it, but because you need peace more than you need. Payback. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's freedom. But here's the key. You forgive without reopening the door. She doesn't get a front row seat to your healing. She doesn't get access to the man you're becoming. She made her choice. Let her live with it. Closure isn't something she gives you. It's something you give yourself. She'll come back. Maybe not with an apology, but with curiosity. I like Ona posted just checking in message. A random memory dropped into your inbox. But that's not closure. That's control. That's her trying to see if the door she walked out of is still cracked open. Nope. You've sealed it shut because the new version of you doesn't need reminders of who failed to see your worth. The first time Stoicism teaches that peace is internal. You don't need revenge, recognition, or even an apology to move on. You just need to decide that your future deserves more than your past. Forgiveness without access is how you end the cycle. You don't block her out of hate. You block her out of discipline, out of clarity, because every time she reaches out, she's not coming back to build. She's coming back to reset your healing. Don't fall for it. You've forgiven her. You've let go of their sentiment, but she no longer qualifies for a seat at your table. Let her watch your glow up from the outside. Let her realize that what she took for granted gone for good. You don't owe her another version of you, you owe yourself. 10. The cold is not cruel. It's clarity. Piece number 10. The cold is not cruel. It's clarity. They'll call you heartless, cold changed, distant, and they'll be right. But not for their reasons. They think you didn't become cold because you stopped caring. You became cold because caring with no boundaries almost destroyed you. You gave your warmth to someone who treated it like a disposable lighter. Easy toss, easier to toss. And now that fire is gone. What's left is control, stillness, clarity, not cruelty, just truth stripped of illusion. She thought you'd always be there. That no matter how many times she pushed you'd come back. That no matter how many times she left, your arms would still be open. But the day you went cold, the illusion had she finally saw you not the version begging to be loved, but the version who no longer needs her at all. That's when the regret creeps in. Not because you played a game, but because you finally stopped playing hers going cold. Is air set. It's the moment you stop leaking energy on what can't be fixed. It's choosing silence over chaos, progress over pain. You don't owe her explanations, you don't owe her closure. Your absence is the closure. And when she feels it, really feels it, it won't be anger she holds. It'll be realization that she had a man of loyalty, strength, and depth, and let him go because she thought he'd never leave. That's the Stoic finish line. Not bitterness, not revenge. Just a cold, clean break from the version of you that needed her to feel whole. You are whole now. You are focused. You are free. And she will feel the weight of that freedom in your silence. Look at you now. You made it to the other side. Not just alive, but awakened. Sharper, colder, clearer. The man who used to be governed replay every moment he's gone. And in his place stands someone untouchable. Someone who doesn't chase love. Heat tracks it. Someone who doesn't. And out his heart like a coupon. Someone who demands value because he knows his own. This isn't about hating her. It's about never letting someone confuse you again. And it's about living in a state of calm, so rooted, so disciplined, that nothing can shake you. She thought you're just another guy now. She sees you are the blueprint. And the best part, you don't need her to see it. Because this journey, it was never about her. It was about reclaiming your power. You've gone cold not to hurt her, but to protect yourself, to preserve your peace, to build life where you're no longer a question mark. In someone else's chaos, you're the standard. Now the one that got away, Theon, she'll think about when the silence gets loud. But you You won't even flinch if you're ready to close the chapter. If you're ready to become the version of you that never begs again, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. She'll never meet this version of me. And welcome to your Stoicism strategy. Your glow up isn't coming, it's already here.